All right, YouTube, this Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit, back with another video on this Tuesday morning. We got a lot to discuss. And one of the things I want to talk about is the neo-Nazis in Ohio. Now, ironically, J.D. Vance is from Ohio. And J.D. Vance, as VP, would never be a friend of the Nazis because he's in a biracial marriage, which would make the Nazis consider him a race traitor. Now, this is no coincidence. Over here, we know we don't believe in coincidences, that the Democratic Party has been calling for protests and civil unrest and telling people to take it to the streets because they are mad about an audit. Now, let's say this. If you were taking over a new business, wouldn't you audit and see what the books look like in that company? What would make you think that Donald Trump and Elon Musk and this administration wouldn't be going through the books, wouldn't be seeing where the American taxpayers' money has been spent? And for some reason, the taxpayers are mad because Elon Musk is discovering all the fraud. Think about it. Why were they spending all that money on transitioning monkeys, mice, millions of dollars to make transgender mice and monkeys, funding transgenderism in other countries? They just found out that FEMA gave $49 million to house illegal immigrants in hotels just a few weeks ago. So Elon Musk is uncovering the corruption, the waste, and the abuse of the federal spending, and the taxpayers are mad. They're wondering why their benefits are being cut, but all that money is going overseas in these pet projects from the Democratic Party and the left. The left are going out kicking and screaming. They don't want to be found out. Don't you wonder how they all became millionaires? AOC became a millionaire. Jasmine Crockett, now a millionaire. Joe Biden was given $92 million. While veterans are homeless and starving. But you mad at Elon Musk and Donald Trump because they're exposing the abuses in the federal government. FEMA didn't even give it that much money to North Carolina or California, a disaster area, but gave $59 million to immigrants to stay in luxury hotels. That's not offensive to you? And while they're calling for you to take it to the streets, all of a sudden, neo-Nazis appear, marching on Lincoln Heights with Nazi flags and SWAT stickers. And the black population over there, the community, they come out with their weapons, their long guns, for a confrontation. Do you guys really want to be patsies? Because what does violent confrontation really look like to you in 2025? You think violent confrontation resembles the confrontation of the 60s and the civil rights movement? Or is it something more dangerous and sinister when you conflict and have conflict with the United States government? Now, Trump won with 77 million votes in this country. And he won popular, electoral, the House, the Senate, and he has a Supreme Court. The Democrats are powerless, but they keep telling you to fight. They keep telling you to take it to the streets. But you're not going to see them if actual violence happens. You're not going to see them on the front line with you. They're not going to give up their security details. It's going to be you out there. It's going to be you fighting the National Guard, the U.S. military. And every time you make these statements and you get out there on the front line and you talk crazy, it's heard. It's documented. Do you want to be guilty of sedition and treason? They're always telling you what Donald Trump can't do and what the states can do. And they're lying to you. Have you ever heard of Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution and the Supremacy Clause? I always tell you guys, get a copy of the Constitution. Look at Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution. Find out what the Supremacy Clause is when it deals with the federal government. And you can see that you're being set up to have a confrontation with your government, running cover because of an audit, where your money has been spent. It's almost like the Democrats are brainwashing the left because they are so unreasonable in their ideology. They are mad because Donald Trump stopped gender-affirming care for children. He won't let them transition children. He won't let them keep their cheap labor. He's stopping them from spending your money. And they're telling you to fight. And all of a sudden, neo-Nazis pop up. And black people, y'all rush out there with your guns and you run out there and don't realize everything is being recorded. This is a setup. This is a setup. Do you really trust these liars, these manipulating politicians from the left with their socialism, their communism, their far left agenda, that you will put yourself on the front line as cannon fodder just so they can get away from the legal consequences of their abuse of federal funds? Because that's what this is about. Now, I want you to watch these two clips with me. The first one, I'm going to show you these so-called neo-Nazis. I'm going to say so-called because I'm from Michigan, where you have Michigan militia and you have other groups. That's not how they approach you. With masks on and not wanting to be seen. To me, don't you think that goes against their so-called racial pride to wear masks, to not be armed, to be ran off in a public confrontation? You can't see that you're being set up by the people you trust who have been abusing your funds, who has been ruining this country for the last 4 years, and they're calling you to be violent in the streets against a duly elected president and his administration? That's treason. Whether you know it or not, that's treason. Especially if you're an American citizen. If you're an immigrant, it's not treason. It's an invasion. But when you're a citizen and you directly want a confrontation with your officials, that's something different. I was watching Roland Martin and his panel. They were calling for revolution. They were saying words like revolution, resistance. They're feeding you these words, and these words have meanings. And the meaning of these words have consequences. Do you really want to F around and find out where the power lies in this country? Now, we already know that God is all powerful. And nothing happens but by the permission of God. But you are being manipulated by a party their whole agenda was anti-God and anti-country. And you are mad that they're being exposed. Make that make sense. Now, I want you to watch this first clip. It's for fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act for Education and Commentary. Check this out.
State has has no place in Cincinnati, and all minority groups are all standing together, and we need to stand together to prevent this from happening in the future.
Outrage off of I-75, where some flags displaying swastikas and hate speech were hung over the interstate today. About, a dozen or so people?
Yeah, about that many. You just heard from the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Cincinnati reacting to not only the hateful display, but also the nearby residents of Evendale and Lincoln Heights who showed up to protest the neo-Nazi demonstration.
Brady Williams is live after talking with the people that live there.
Yeah, so by the time we showed up, there was a Jeep that was smashed to bits right about here in the parking lot, and we're told that was because there was a lot of anger over what they saw on the bridge just over there. They saw hatred, and they saw racism, and they say that there was a lot of hurt over what they saw here.
Tried to elevate myself and hold myself to a level of responsibility and accountability and charity and business ownership that I could be proud of. And I got to stop at a stop sign if somebody called me the N-word.
Eric Ruffin stared down a group of people holding Nazi flags and guns just a few hundred feet from his business. Anyone who drove along I-75 near Evendale Friday afternoon saw the same thing.
Officially letting you know there is racism in America.
Residents of nearby Lincoln Heights soon arrived to protest the Nazi demonstration.
This is something that we all need to take a stand for. We need them to know this is not the 1960s. This is 2025. We are not playing at this time around.
We're told the people on the bridge came and went in a U-Haul, leaving shortly after locals arrived. Evendale police released a statement that the demonstration, while offensive, was legal. Protesters took issue with that response.
You're allowed to have a protest, but where's your permit? Where's your permission? And then inciting hate, calling people niggas. That's not right.
When Fox 19 arrived, this car had its windows smashed and its tires slashed. Protesters stated that they believed it belonged to one of the men with the Nazi flags.
That's hate. That's what hate is. That's what hate gets you.
Protesters say they were shocked and disgusted by what they saw on that overpass, but their gathering was about standing together.
This is unity. This is all you. Nobody's here to fight. Nobody's here to cause any trouble. Nobody's here to do any of that. But what we're not going to do is have hatred.
This love. We're united. We united.
I hope that this can change, but you have to realize that this is a big issue.
Protesters say they saw hate and they stood their ground. They say they want to know if the masked people on that bridge will simply retreat without repercussions.
What's going to happen next? That's the question. What happens next?
Hamilton County Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey did put out a statement in the last hour or so, and in that she says that her deputies were on scene. They were here specifically because they wanted to de-escalate the situation. She says that they accomplished that goal. She says also that there is no place for hate in this community. She stated also that they look forward to continuing to collaborate with the people of Lincoln Heights as well as surrounding agencies. Live in Lincoln Heights with photojournalist Phil Krinsky, Brady Williams, Fox 19 Now.
The time has come. We're taking online courses to learn Google and YouTube ads is
Watchdogs with.
As I've stated before, we don't believe in coincidences. Who benefits from this much racial tension? Who benefits from chaos in the street? Think about who benefited from Black Lives Matter when they was rioting and burning cities down. It's the same architects of chaos and confusion. It's the same globalists. It's the same leftist agenda to make you think that Nazis are marching on black communities all of a sudden. You like to say that Trump supports white supremacists. That's what they've been telling you. That's what Jasmine Crockett been telling you. That's what the left's been telling you. That's what the likes of Roland Martin's been telling you. That's what the Shields have been telling you. That's what the pundits have been telling you. What are you going to do about it? I was born in the 60s. And they've been saying the same things my entire life. I was born when Martin Luther King was unalived. I've seen the Black Panther Party pass out free lunches. I've seen real activism. What you are seeing now are the masses of people being used as political pawns. You see all that money USAID was giving other countries around the world? That's a globalist agenda. That's not an American agenda. So who benefits the most from the collapse and breakdown in this country? The globalists. And you got these pundits. They're just saying things because they want to keep you on the Democratic plantation. Because if the Democrats don't have the black community as a base, they can never win an election. They're too liberal. And they are outnumbered by the conservatives. And people say they don't like conservatives, but the Bible is one of the most conservative books ever written. But you don't like conservatism. And if you're a Muslim, the Quran is second in being one of the most conservative, if not first, but you don't like conservatives. So you are allowing these people who, as I've stated before, ran a whole campaign on anti-God, anti-family, anti-country agenda to call you to the streets for a confrontation with your government. And it's being led by women. I would think that the men would have more sense than to think that they could fight the Marines, the Navy SEALs, the Air Force, drones, and 77 million Americans. 77 million patriots over audits. Let's look at your leaders. I want you to hear your leaders talk.
Last week I saw a sign in the crowd that said DOGE stands for Dangerous Oligarchs Grab at Everything. And I said,
I want you to think about how she starts. She's telling the people that your government is dangerous because they're doing an audit. How does an audit hurt you? And how does getting rid of the Department of Education, who has spent more money than any other country in the world on education, but the American children and people in school rank last, dead last? Don't you think that should be getting rid of? FEMA couldn't help North Carolina, but was able to spend $49 million on illegal immigrants. And you mad at Elon? You're mad at Elon. You're not mad at these politicians who got rich exploiting you. Now they playing with your emotions. Now they want you angry. Now they want you to think that it's some type of racial strife that's going to escalate into violence, because that's what they need for cover. They're being found out. No Section 8 is stopped. No food stamps or none of your benefits are stopped. They're telling you they're going to take your Social Security. How? How are they going to take it? By stopping 49 million from going to illegal immigrants who don't pay into the tax system? Pay attention to your leaders on the left.
then, and I'll say it again, that Elon Musk needs to keep his grubby hands, his greedy, grubby hands off of our government. You know, I don't know about all of you, but I'm having a hard time sleeping at night.
Okay, I'm going to interject one more time. But she wants you to believe the richest man in the world, the only person who is creating rockets that can go up into the sky and come back down, wants your Social Security. Do you really think Elon Musk wants your Social Security check? You believe her. You believe her. If you do, I got a bridge to sell you.
My daughter is 16 years old and looking at colleges, and I'm so worried about the world that she's living in now and the world that she will inherit. And I ask myself, how do we get here? How were working men and women convinced to believe that a failed businessman who was godless and lawless could lead them anywhere? Because he lied.
She's saying that Trump is godless. But she was the one pushing transgendering of children, open borders, LGBTQ agenda, not community building. They're the ones with sending all your money to transgender monkeys, rats, and mice. They paid over $1 million for Sesame Street in Iraq. But listen to her lie to you some more.
Because he's a liar and a crook. But he's been given a lot of oxygen. I want to give you all some. You're all here when you could have been anywhere else because you give a damn. You give a damn about this country. You give a damn about our democracy. You give a damn about your neighbors. You are the true patriots.
Now they're co-opting the word patriot. They're co-opting we the people. They're co-opting language from the conservative side after they've been DEI, inclusiveness, LGBT. They've been everything but patriotic. But now their base is hemorrhaging for people and support, especially in the light of all these revelations of how they were abusing and stealing and defrauding the American public. Now they want to be patriots. Really?
You may not have an occupant in the Oval Office that cares about lifting your burdens and lightening your loads and harnessing your dreams to make them real. But know that the Democrats that stand behind me, they have got your back. And we will stand up and we will fight until they stand down, because we are going to match their energy.
Said the woman with no army, no Air Force, no Navy, no Marines, no police, no fire trucks, just empty rhetoric and fear-mongering. You would be foolish to follow them, because their rhetoric, they know that there's a large amount of the black community that are done with the Democratic Party. They have no real unity in their own communities. This is political theater to stoke your emotions, to create chaos and division, to distract the people from what's really going on in the government, what really has been going on for the last 4 years. Listen to her lie to you some more.
Elon Musk and your muskrats. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, same thing at this point, right? Who really is the president, Donald? Donald Trump ran on a promise to bring down the cost for everyday people, didn't have a plan for it, but said he would. Well, Donald, how's that going? I'll ask you all, how's it going? Are your eggs cheaper?
They always like to bring up eggs. Do y'all know that under the Biden administration, Joe Biden had the farmers slaughter over 600,000 chickens? Then the chickens went into processed plants where they were mixed with soy to make your nuggets, sold out chickens, the price of eggs went through the roof. They won't tell you that. What person benefits have been cut off since Elon been auditing what they've done for the last 4 years? Ask yourself, why the need to lie this much? Demonizing. The Democrats have never learned. This is why they lost everything. House, Senate, presidency, Supreme Court. This is just a grip to hold their slaves on that plantation.
Is your housing more affordable? No. Tell me how letting Elon put his paws in the cookie jar is helping a single person who calls this country home. Families are struggling. The rent is too damn high. The cost of groceries is too damn high. The big banks and giant corporations are all too eager to nickel and dime hardworking people. And you know what has been a saving grace for families trying to hold on to a buck? This small but mighty government agency, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now look, those of you watching, you may have never heard of them. You know, isn't it just the truth that you don't know how much you benefit from your government or your democracy until someone comes through with a wrecking ball and creates a constitutional crisis?
What we did know is how much you guys were stealing. That's what we didn't know. We didn't know that you civil servants became millionaires while the people suffered. That's what we didn't know. So they keep sending you women folk out here in front of us with your fear mongering, with your empty rhetoric to distract us from following the money, to following the yellow brick road.
With an unprecedented power grab. You've never heard of them, but trust me, they've been working hard for you, the people, for over a decade. They are the same agency. They got banks to cap overdraft fees. They take on scammers that are after our elders' money. They stop the medical debt from dinging your credit report. They go after banks that practice lending discrimination. This is what we're going to dismantle. What in the hell kind of government efficiency is that?
I'm going to ask y'all something. Y'all love when they act like Medea, don't you? Y'all love the neck rolling, the ghetto representation. Y'all love that stereotype. You didn't like a woman like Condoleezza Rice, dignified and intelligent. This is what you like. This is what they put in front of you. Who are they fooling? This is not working anymore. This is played out. They want you to say everything is misogyny. Think about this. When a man grows up and has to leave his parents' home, it's often because he don't want to follow the rules there. So either his father or his mother says, you can't follow my rules, leave the house and go get your own. So usually, if he's an adult man, he leaves the house of his mother and his family and he goes to find his own home and he becomes independent. Then he stops wanting to listen to Medea. So what they do is they play on the psychology of a fatherless community and put Big Mama back in front of you to tell you what to do. Even if it leads you off a cliff. Even if it has you in confrontation with the government. Y'all don't see this clearly as a manipulation, an emotional manipulation?
No justice for scammed elders? Look, let me tell you something. I'll take a bit of umbrage here. I'll speak on behalf of my colleagues. I think I can say we are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress. But they are not serious. This is not about government efficiency. What kind of efficiency makes people hungrier, poorer, and less safe? The CFPB are watchdogs fighting for the people, so no wonder Elon and Donald want to go.
I can't listen to her lies no more. These Democrats, they whole policy or rhetoric is Trump. They can't never have any type of conversation with you without mentioning their opposition. Do you see Vance and Trump running around mentioning their names at every turn? They keep telling you about a power grab. When this man got 77 million votes, they say he's violating the Constitution, but he's the one that keeps telling you what the Constitution says. They're not going to tell you about Article 6 of the Constitution. They don't even like the Second Amendment or the First Amendment. You're being played. You're being set up. Think about it. These things are not happening in a vacuum. These things are not coincidences. This is the Democratic Party throwing the whole country under a bus. Really. Well, this is Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. Support the channel. Like, share, and subscribe. As always, salute to all patriots. Y'all keep your head on the swivel. Peace.